I'm Jane.
I'm David.
We're Kaplan versus Kaplan. We're back for another Sparring review, and this week it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It's Quentin Tarantino's 9th movie.
Which means it's his next to the last.
And quite possibly his best movie, and we'll talk about that.
Right. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood takes place in 1969 Hollywood. And at the time, in 1969, Tarantino was 6 years old, and he claims that this was the year that formed him. It's a memory piece for him, and it's an homage to the golden age of Hollywood.
Yeah, so many things were going on in 1969. Right. You had the moon landing, the Manson family murders that took place in Hollywood.
And a bunch of other things, but those were two of the major things, right.
And this movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio.
As Rick Dalton.
Rick Dalton. He's a TV cowboy.
Right, trying to make it into movies, but he's kind of failing. And also Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth. Booth, right. John Wilkes Booth, right. That was so hilarious. As Cliff Booth, his stunt double. And they are like best friends and hang out because Rick Dalton is an alcoholic, and he's had so many DUIs that
Cliff has his driver.
Has to drive him around in his awesome Cadillac Seville. But Cliff himself has a little Carmen Ghia that is just adorable. It's hilarious. Anyway, so he parks his Carmen Ghia at Rick's house in the morning, picks him up, takes him to the studio every day for filming, and then takes him home at night. There
are so many good scenes in this movie.
Yes.
I can't even. Brad Pitt, for me, has the bulk of the really good scenes and the really tense scenes.
Right. And a lot of the good lines. Although
for
DiCaprio.
Example, he picks up a hitchhiker that he's run into a few times, a young female
named Pussycat.
Named Pussycat, played by Margaret Qualley. And she says she lives on the Spahn Ranch, owned by George Spahn, and George Spahn is played by Bruce Dern. And that's actually a place where Cliff Booth was a stuntman 8 years earlier, so he wants to go to the ranch to say hello to his buddy George. And
it's where the Manson family is actually living, which is true. They did live on the Spahn Ranch. Spahn Ranch.
We should say early on in the movie we get a glimpse of a character who's obviously Charles Manson.
Right. And he's checking out the house next door to Rick's. Rick lives up in the Hollywood Hills. He has this fabulous house up in the hills with a pool at all. And next door, the couple moves in next door, and it's Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. And Sharon Tate is played by Margot Robbie, and she just does a fabulous job. And one of the things, I want to get this out right away, Tarantino has taken a lot of crap because they feel that he didn't give her enough lines. It's his film. He wrote the film as he wanted. I thought it was a fine role for her, and she did a marvelous job with it.
She really did a nice job with what she was given to do.
Yeah, because she wasn't the main focus of the film. The main focus of the film was the relationship between Cliff and Rick.
But getting back to us seeing Charles Manson, it plants the seed of the Manson family murders of August 9th, 1969.
Because of course.
We see him in the movie in Tarantino's timeline. It's actually the month of February 1969.
Right.
So we see Manson. So there's a feeling of dread in the audience that something is coming related to the Manson family murders. Of course, anybody under 60 probably would not remember that because this is
unless you're a history buff.
This is the 50th anniversary of that horrific crime.
But this is Quentin Tarantino's homage to the golden age of, as I said, but it's also his fairy tale. So it's not your typical, I don't think it's typical Tarantino. It's a little bit different. It's very dialogue driven, so I'm not sure that a lot of his fans are going to really enjoy it, but it's funny.
I don't know, it's got a lot of humor.
It is, but you know what? That's what was killing me though. During the screening, I was like the only one laughing. I don't know what was wrong with our audience, and our audience was packed. We were at the ArcLight in Hollywood, and it was like packed, and like I found myself like the only one laughing out loud. It was like, oh my God, but it was funny.
The ushers came by and said, "Ma'am, could you keep it down?" Actually.
Anyway, it's dialogue driven because it's a lot of dialogue between Cliff and Rick. I can't remember Leo's name. Anyways, but the whole thing about this film, and we don't want to go on too long, is, honest to God, the fact that Tarantino got Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt together in this film is just phenomenal. They are great together. Talk about a great buddy chemistry, and they're
These
awesome.
These are two of their best roles, and they are given. There are so many fabulous scenes, both humorous and suspenseful.
And also self-deprecating. Poor Cliff, not Cliff. Poor
Rick.
Poor Rick is suffering because he has self-doubt about his acting abilities, and Cliff is always trying to bolster him up. But he goes through these terrible scenes of self-doubt, and it's you feel sorry for him because he's at a crux in his career where he feels like he's been a failure. And it's sad. It's really sad. But another really cute scene is with Julia Butters, who plays this little girl on one of the westerns, and she has a couple of great scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio, and they are marvelous together. And for a little girl, I mean, she does not hold back. She is not intimidated by Leo at all, and it's remarkable.
And there are a lot of cameos by well-known stars. As an example, if you're a fan of Billions on TV, Damian Lewis is one of the stars. He plays Bobby Axe on the show. Here he has a cameo impersonating Steve McQueen.
Well, not impersonating, playing
Steve McQueen, but the makeup department and his general features, you'd swear you're watching Steve McQueen. It's amazing.
And also the other thing,
there's another scene with an actor playing Bruce Lee. He gets into it with Pitt's character, Cliff Booth. They have this amazing argument, which leads to a little bit of a fist fight. And
it's hilarious. And it went out in kung fu.
Brad Pitt has an amazing ability to stand up to bullies.
Yes, he does. And then lastly, because we're going on too long here, lastly is the cameo, which was his last role before he died, was Luke Perry. Has a wonderful scene with Leo and Julia Butters, the little girl. And it's a marvelous little turn. It breaks your heart. It does break your heart. Anyways, but it's a great film. It's not for everybody.
We both
I
gave
will
it
say
strong
that.
see it nows. It's got typical Tarantino violence,
right?
But the violence is not gratuitous.
Right. It's not violence the whole way through like most of his films. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure a lot of his audience fans will love it. The critics love it.
If you're a Kill Bill fan and you want to see 50 to 100 people getting their limbs lopped off by an Uma Thurman character, you might be disappointed.
But anyways,
this is really a great film.
It's brilliantly written and directed, and it is quite the showcase for Hollywood, and it's wonderful. So see it now. Go out and see it.
Absolutely.
And look for our reviews on Kaplan.com,
and
Rotten Tomatoes, and check out the video on YouTube.
There you have it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. See you next time.